Today we're talking about a brand that I think is very underrated, especially when you're talking about Swiss-made brands that offer in-house movements. Federic Constant are one of the very few brands that offer very high-quality watches with in-house movements and complications that you normally see on watches that are way higher priced at a very good price point. Today we're taking a look at a Worldtimer in their High Life collection, and this gets a lot of little tricks that you would see on much higher end watches. Also, this is powered by an in-house movement. All of this for a reasonable price when compared to the competition. So let's take a hands-on look at the Federic Constant High Life Worldtimer. The High Life is Federic Constant's take on an integrated bracelet sports watch. This gets 100 meters of water resistance. It gets their in-house manufacturer caliber. And I'm actually going to show you that right off the bat because it is beautiful. You can see you get that gold tone rotor. It's decorated beautifully and you get blued screws. There's graining, there's circular graining. It looks phenomenal. And when you flip it over, it's just as good looking on the back as it is on the front. You get a screwed-in case back with a sapphire crystal. You get a push-pull crown, but you do get 100 meters of water resistance. The other thing you're going to see here is that there are very large tabs on the strap. There's these little end links that attach to the case. Those you just pull just like a regular quick release on a strap, and you have that on the bracelet as well. So it's very easy to change between a bracelet and a strap on this watch. This is the textile strap. It's like a rubber textile strap that they give you with this. I believe they also offer it with, of course, the bracelet and then a leather strap as well. So I'm not sure if you get all three when you purchase the watch. If that's the case, I'll put it down in the description. This is a Worldtimer, so it's not just a world time watch with a bezel that rotates. There are plenty of watches out there that do that. And I actually featured a watch here on my channel not that long ago that was around $8,000 that had that functionality. So basically another crown that changes the world time position. You change it to the local time, you line it up with the hour hand, and that's how you tell the world time. So then you can tell the time in all the other locations. That's not how this works. This is a lot more complicated. First, you have a few different layers to the dial. There's that outermost portion that is the cities on the world time. That world time function that is controlled from the crowns. All you need to do is pull it out into the first position. You just pop it out into the first position. It's a little position, that's it. And then you could move that bezel. You can see that clicks along right there. I'll move this all the way around till I get back to New York. And basically you want to align your home city to the 12 o'clock position. That's it. Once you do that, you set the time. So I have this set to 10:10. If you look at the world time at the 24-hour track that you have, that is the day and night indicator as well on the dial, that's a separate track that's tied to the time. So when you actually set the time, that will move. You just look at that against the city that you want to know the time in. So it tells you the time in all of the cities all at once. It's also pretty difficult to do because everything has to be controlled from the crown. However, there is another layer of complication here. There are a number of layers to the dial. The top layer of this dial is the time telling portion for the local time. There's that little globe area right there. You have map lines on there. It looks like a globe, very cool. Then below that is the date. The date actually sits above that 24-hour track and that world time city track as well. So it actually passes underneath the date complication. That is really cool, and it's something that I haven't seen any other brand do. You're adding a lot of layers here. You have multiple discs that you have to sort of think about when you're creating this dial. So this is a very complicated dial. You also have indices that are applied. Those are loomed. You have fence post hands. Those are loomed. There is even a texture in the center of that centralized date. I like how it's very symmetrical as well. And there's a radial pattern on that sub dial for the date. Lots of little details on this dial that make it very special and extremely symmetrical, because usually a Worldtimer is very busy. And I'm not going to say that this dial isn't busy, but the way that they've executed it, it's really clean. I think for a Worldtimer, I love Worldtimers. This is a very clean looking dial. And just a few facts about the movement itself. Of course, like I said, this is a manufacturer movement from Federic Constant. They've used this in a number of their other watches. This one is fitted with a world time function. And again, everything is controlled from the crown, including the date, which is great. Also, this gets 42 hours of power reserve and it operates at 28,800, and it's really a beautiful movement to look at. And here it is on the supplied bracelet. There's a heavy taper to this bracelet. As you can see, you have center links that are polished, outer links that are brushed. This is an eye-link bracelet is what I would call it. It's double push button. You have a really beautiful shield on here. Obviously, you do have to fold over one side before you fold over the other. That's probably the only downfall of a bracelet like that, but I really do like the shield on here. I think it looks really nice. This is a 40 millimeter watch. So at the case, it measures in at 40 millimeters. At the bezel, which is polished and smooth, it's a rounded bezel as well. So this will fit under a cuff really well. It measures in at around 39 millimeters. I would say this wears like a 40 millimeter because the case is at 40 millimeters. You have around a 12 millimeter thickness. That's pretty good considering that this is an automatic world timer with a very complicated dial. And then the lug to lug is around 45 millimeters at the case. If you're including the bracelet though, it's around 54 millimeters is what I measured. That's because you are getting male end links on this bracelet. So it does sit a little bit far out. So that might be a problem for people with very small wrists, but you also get a strap here that you can use, and the strap does wear a lot better, and that does fold down a little bit better. So it does have a smaller lug to lug on a strap. On my wrist today, I have a Bulova. This is the Bulova Racing Chronograph, a watch that has to go back to Bulova very soon. I'm very sad about that. It's a really good looking chronograph that is a quartz. It's very affordable, fun, and Bulova just came out with this out of left field. I really love it, and I'll be sad to see it go. And there is the high life on my 7.5 inch wrist. I don't think it's a secret that I love world timers. I know they are a little bit complicated looking, but there's something about a world timer that I have always loved. It's the complication, the look of the dial, the cities listed around the dial. I don't know what it is. I have always loved world timers, and I think this is a very nice world timer considering that this only comes in at $4,795. That does seem like a lot of money to some, but I have to say, for a world timer with a manufacturer movement and a dial that is really well executed and functionality that is all done from the crown, that is very hard. There are not many world timers that function like this, that have all of the functionality working from the crown. That is pretty rare and is usually found in much more expensive watches. Usually you have two crowns and you have to fiddle around with it. This is set and forget. It's awesome, and that's the reason why it's a little bit more expensive, but considering that you're getting this in a Swiss-made package with 3 straps, I believe, the bracelet, rubber, and a leather strap, and of course that trick functionality where it goes underneath the date, I think all of that, plus the fact that it works through the crown, makes this a bargain at under $5,000, in my opinion. This is a 40 millimeter watch. I have a 7.5 inch wrist. It is around 12 millimeters thick. You do have a long lug to lug on here on the bracelet, so that might be a problem for some to wear if you have a smaller wrist. Smaller than me, but I think someone with a small wrist would probably not be able to wear this on the bracelet. We'll go with the strap then. Unfortunately, the bracelet would not be a very good option. If you have a larger wrist, obviously, you should have no problem. Well, there you go. You have lume on the indices and hands, no lume on the second hand, which I like to see. And then of course there's no lume at the bottom of the dial because you do have that date complication and they don't have indices there, so there is no lume. The lume isn't incredibly applied to the indices and hands. The hands are a little bit brighter than the indices, but other than that, I think the fact that it has lume is great. I wish there was some more lume. Of course, I always wish there was more lume, but that is me. I love lume. So if this had a little bit more lume, I would not complain. Tell me what you think down in the comments below. I want to hear from you guys. What do you think of this watch? What do you think of Federic Constant? What do you think of all the complications that they offer? They offer tourbillons. They offer perpetual calendars, chronographs, world timers, lots of complications, and all of them are priced really, really well. I want to hear from you guys. Tell me down in the comments. Please also don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. Super helpful for the channel, and I very much appreciate it. Anyway, guys, thank you for logging on. Thank you for joining me today, watching this video. Hopefully you found it helpful or useful, and that's really it. I'll catch you guys in the next video.